Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 1, Endless Rage. Chapter 1 Endless Anger. Huanfu Holy Dynasty, Meteor City, Moon Town. The wind was cold, the snow was flying, and the snowflakes shrouded the Tan Mansion, which was full of drums and drums. Since God has reborn me back to the day of marriage, then I, Tan Yun, will never let the tragedy happen again. Lu Ruyan and Situ Jiannan, sooner or later, I will drive out your two great families and kill them. Tan Yun, who was wearing the groom's clothes, stared at the white sky with split canthus, and the scenes passed by quickly in his mind. 3 days ago, when he married Lu Ruyan, the daughter of the Lu family, the head of the Lu family and the head of the Situ family, in order to occupy the Tan family's property, bought the housekeeper of the Tan house, and poisoned Tan Yun's father and grandfather at the wedding banquet. Exterminate the 308 people in Tan Mansion. Before Tan Yun died, he saw the love scene between his fiancée Lu Ruyan, who was wearing a wedding dress, and the young master Situ Jiannan. Only then did he understand that Lu Ruyan and Situ Jiannan had already had an affair. Tan Yun, my mission has been completed. In this life, it's up to you to take revenge. Suddenly, a weak voice sounded in Tan Yun's mind. Who? Tan Yun was horrified. I'm in your spirit pool, you come in and talk. Tan Yun's weak voice sounded again in his mind. Tan Yun closed his eyes with trembling fear, entered into meditation, and came to the spiritual pond between his eyebrows. Ling Qi is the place where monks store the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and it is the foundation of monks. After Tan Yun came to Ling Qi, his pupils shrank, only to see a green diamond-shaped sphere suspended in the center of Ling Qi. The sphere was the size of a fist, and it was filled with a hazy halo. Tan Yun stared at the sphere, and there was a feeling of blood connection in his heart, and his cautious eyes gradually became confused. Who are you? Why are you in it? I am you, you are me, but unfortunately I don't have much time left, so I can't explain it to you one by one. The voice inside the sphere became weaker and weaker. I would like to be annihilated by the ashes, and give you back your memories for eternity. Remember, you must take revenge. As soon as the words fell, Tan Yun had a splitting headache, and after a large number of memory fragments poured into his mind, they were pieced together into pictures. From the picture, he saw his last life, the memory of every life until 10,000 generations ago. In the reincarnation of the world, every life of my own has been destroyed. Dear relatives, no one survives. And all of this comes from the cruel curse of the first world. In his first life, he was the supreme being of Hongmeng who shook the heavens and the world. Chaos Supreme and Siyuan Supreme, after joining forces to kill themselves, cursed themselves to enter the eternal cycle of reincarnation. I want to pass the reincarnation of the world and let my powerful soul be completely wiped out. The green light ball in the Ling Qi is the foundation of the Hongmeng God realm, the heart of Hongmeng. The man who spoke just now was a ray of spiritual thought that was refined into the heart of Hongmeng in his first life. It is this ray of spiritual thought, with the heart of Hongmeng, after passing through the barriers of the heavens and the world, falling from the mortal dust in the purgatory of the galaxy, and helping him reborn to the day of great joy. Ha ha ha, the reincarnation of the world, curse me to destroy the door. After Tan Yun laughed miserably, the whole person was like a sharp sword unsheathed. Supreme Chaos, Supreme Originator, Tan Yun, will definitely fly to the 9 heavens immortal realm, and then reach the God realm, so that you don't die. After obtaining the memory of the reincarnation of the world, Tan Yun also has the memory of Dan, Array, Tool, Talisman and other heaven and earth techniques in his first life. He is determined to live in the last life, and he must re-enter the realm of the gods for revenge. Step on the gods who betrayed you, and slaughter them all. The most urgent task at the moment is how to resolve the crisis of the Tan family's extinction. Brother Tan Yun, why did you come here? The adoptive mother told you to go back to the VIP hall to worship. Accompanied by a beautiful female voice as clear as a grain of rain, a girl in a pink skirt with all the power of the country, hurriedly came to Tan Yun. The girl has bright eyes and white teeth, her skin is like snow, and her hair like a waterfall of blue silk hangs on her shoulders like a knife. She is Tan Yun's righteous sister, Nangong Yuqin. She was an orphan, abandoned in Wangyue town as a baby, and picked up by Tan Yun's mother Feng Jingru back to Tan Mansion. She was well behaved and sensible since she was a child, she was born beautiful, and her talent was amazing. When she was 10 years old, her cultivation base had already entered the third level of the spiritual fetus, so Feng Jingru officially accepted her as a righteous daughter. Now that she is only 15 years old, she has already stepped into the sixth level of the spirit embryo realm. Together with Lu Ruyan and Situ Jiannan, she is known as the three geniuses of Wangyue town. On the other hand, Tan Yun is already 16, but he is still at the third level of the spirit embryo realm. He is a famous waste in Wangyue town. Okay, I'll go back. Tan Yun looked back abruptly, and his voice stopped abruptly. He looked at Nangong Yuqin, and suddenly there was an inexplicable grief deep in his heart, and the tide-like sadness spread over every inch of his skin. Immediately afterwards, a picture of his last life appeared in his mind. The setting sun was like blood, and at the top of the cliff, when a domineering sword light came towards him, a girl exactly like Nangong Yuqin pushed him away. But she gave her life, and her blood was red, eclipsed the setting sun. After the memory was interrupted, Tan Yun's eyes were red and he looked at Nangong Yuqin affectionately. He was overjoyed at the reunion in this life. I swear to myself, Yuqin, I will never let you down in this life. Nangong Yuqin was stared at by Tan Yun's fiery gaze, and his heart was pounding. She suddenly felt that Tan Yun had changed. In her memory, although Tan Yungue was the young master, he always looked melancholy and decadent because he was regarded as a waste by the whole city. But today, she can't feel the inferiority complex in the past from Tan Yun. Yuqin, Lu Ruyan and I will worship in the hall later, you don't have to go. You can buy a set for me immediately. You think the most beautiful bridal dress in the town. Tan Yun seemed to think of something, and his expression was firm. Oh, okay. Nangong Yuqin looked puzzled, smiled sweetly, after images flickered a few times, and when she swept out the gate of the mansion, her beautiful eyes were already full of tears. She loves Tan Yun deeply, but she knows that there is a huge disparity in their identities, and that she who was born as a maid is not worthy of him. There were no empty seats in the huge VIP hall. There are three major families in Wangyue town, the Situ family, the Tan family, and the Lu family. The Tan family is hosting a wedding, and all the prominent figures in the town are here. Even the leading figure in the town, Bai Yaoshi, Bai Qiusheng, was also in the seat. Sitting in the middle of the upper seat, Tan Yun's parents and grandfather. And Lu Boyi, Tan Yun's prospective father-in-law. The four of them laughed unnaturally when they saw that Tan Yun had not come back. The bride, Lu Ruyan, was standing in front of the hall, and because her hijab covered her cheeks, she could not be seen. Tan Feng, the time has come, quickly find Yunner for me. Old man Tan looked at Tan Feng sideways and said with a slightly livid face. Father, calm down, I'll go now. Before Tan Feng finished speaking, Tan Yun stepped into the hall. Grandpa, Dad, I'm back. Yunner, you are so old, why are you ignorant at all? Feng Jingru complained to Tan Yun, and immediately looked at Tan Zizhong, who was holding a pot of fine wine, and ordered, Butler, let's start the wedding. My subordinates obey. Tan Zizhong's voice just fell, and the next sentence from Tan Yun was like a heavy artillery shell, throwing away the crowd. Butler, no need. Tan Yun ignored Lu Ruyan and said firmly, it is impossible for me and Lu Ruyan today, and it will be even more impossible in the future. With that said, Tan Yun took out a marriage contract from his arms and shredded it in public. What's going on here? Young Master Tan actually repented of his marriage in public. Isn't this humiliating Patriarch Lu Bai Qiguoguo? Yeah. What happened? Lu Qianjin is the arrogant daughter of the sky, so what's not worthy of him? Shoo, be quiet. With the chatter of hundreds of patriarchs echoing in his ears, Lu Boyi suddenly got up from his seat and roared at the old man Tan, who had not recovered from his composure. Tan Changchun, how can my daughter not be worthy of your useless grandson? Your Tan family is too deceiving. Patriarch Lu, calm down your anger. After the old man Tan hurriedly stood up to apologize, his old body trembled and glared at Tan Yun, you unworthy descendant, you are trying to kill me. If you don't give an explanation, I will destroy you myself. You son of a bitch, I'll kill you. Tan Feng stepped over to the seat, waving his hand towards Tan Yun's face. I'm just such a son, stop me. Feng Jingru turned into an afterimage and protected Tan Yun behind her. Ma'am, it's time for you to protect this traitor. Tan Feng's right hand hovered above Feng Jingru's head, his face flushed with anger. Husband, father, please calm down first and listen to Yun'er's explanation. Feng Jingru's tears rolled in her eyes. After she pleaded, she looked back at Tan Yun and urged, Yun'er, give it to your father and your grandfather quickly. And Lu Patriarch to explain. No need to explain. Lu Boyi roared through the hall, did your Tan family bully our Lu family? For today's humiliation, I must make your Tan family pay a heavy price. Come on. Lu Boyi naturally wouldn't give the Tan family a chance to explain, although he was angry that Tan Yun regretted his marriage in public, humiliated his daughter, and humiliated the Lu family. But this is a great opportunity to take advantage of the Tan family. Whoosh whoosh. Immediately, the 500 Lu family guards who had already been ambushed around the Tan family rushed into the Tan residence with long swords and big swords, and surrounded the VIP palace. Among the 500 guards, more than 200 were disguised as guards of the Situ family. Don't be presumptuous in my Tan family. With a loud slamming sound, the 200 guards of the Tan family, armed with spears, rushed to hear the news and fearlessly confronted the 500 opponents. This patriarch can't stand it anymore. Situ Patriarch in the seat, Situ Tianluan, suddenly stood up and stood side by side with Lu Boyi, Master Tan, you are digging your own grave. The two released the breath of the 8th level of the spirit embryo realm, and their bodies were filled with undisguised killing intent. Dad, you have to decide for your daughter, Wu Wu. Lu Ruyan lifted her hijab, pretended to cry, and came to Lu Boyi's side, my daughter is dead, Wu Wu. Ha ha ha, pretend, then pretend to Lao Tzu. Tan Yun stared at Lu Ruyan and laughed wildly, and then he looked around at all the owners of the family who were indifferent to him, and said loudly, everyone is not curious, why do I regret my marriage? Okay, then I'll tell you. Tan Yun turned his right hand into a claw, turned around abruptly, and pinched the butler Tan Zizhong's mouth tightly. Then, Tan Yun grabbed the jug with his left hand and poured it towards Tan Zizhong's mouth. You old thing that eats inside and out was actually bought by Lu Boyi and poisoned the jug, and wanted me and Lu Ruyan to worship my parents and grandpa. Time, poison them. No young master, this old slave knows it's wrong. Tan Yun poured a pot of poisonous wine into his mouth in Tan Zizhong's horrified plea for mercy, puff. Tan Zizhong's eyes were white, foaming at the mouth, and a jet of black poisonous blood spurted out of his mouth, killing him on the spot. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 2, Step by Step Startling. The second chapter is startling step by step. Boom! With a flick of his right hand, Tan Yun threw Tan Zizhong's body out of the VIP hall. Yun'er, tell Grandpa, what's going on? Tan Changchun's face changed greatly, and he walked quickly to Tan Yun. Tan Feng Jingru and his wife, looking at the poisoned wine spilled on the ground, also looked at Tan Yun with chills down their backs, waiting for him to answer. Tan Yun said loudly, Grandpa, Lu Boyi and Situ Tianluan bought the housekeeper to poison him. After wanting to poison you and my father, and then destroy our Tan family, their wolf ambition is to occupy our Tan family's property. One stone shocked thousands of waves, and hundreds of patriarchs were shocked. Some suspect the truth of the matter, some secretly believe that Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi are so cruel. But in the face of the three great masters who were full of gunpowder, they all chose to remain silent and did not want to go into this muddy water. I'm mad at me. Tan Changchun was furious, staring at Lu Boyi and Situ Tianluan, and said angrily, you guys are so despicable. Ha ha, what a joke. Lu Boyi looked at Tan Changchun and said with a wicked smile, it's just that your grandson regretted his marriage in public, but now you dare to kill people and kill people. Do you really think that I, Lu Boyi, are easy to bully? Patriarch Lu is right. Situ Tianluan turned around, and a long sword came out of his right hand. He pointed at Tan Changchun with his sword, and roared, scholars can be killed but not shamed. Today, I want you Tan family to stay behind. Facing the situation where the battle was about to break out, Tan Changchun's forehead was covered with beads of sweat the size of beans. He knew very well that once Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi joined forces, he would surely die and the Tan family would be destroyed. "Father, we are not their opponents, what should we do?" Tan Feng, who was at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm, was ashen-faced and could do nothing. "Don't be impatient," Tan Changchun said in a low voice with a solemn expression, and cast a look of help at Bai Qiusheng. "Bai Yaoshi, please do justice to my Tan family." There is no doubt that Bai Qiusheng, who is at the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm, is the only one who can save the Tan family. "Bai Yaoshi, this is a grudge between us and the Tan family, please don't interfere," Lu Boyi and Situ Tianluan said in unison. At this moment, everyone's eyes fell on Bai Qiusheng, and they didn't dare to take a breath. Everyone concluded that Bai Qiusheng would never completely offend Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi for the sake of the Tan family. "It is so." Bai Qiusheng slowly got up from his seat and looked at Tan Changchun with horizontal eyebrows and vertical lines, with a look of disbelief. "Master Tan, did your Tan family frame the Lu family head and the Situ family head first, or did the two family heads have a plan for the Tan family's industry? For a long time, only you yourself know. I'm sorry, I can't help you until you find out the facts." Hearing that, when Tan Changchun wanted to say something else, Tan Yun stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Old Bai, this junior knows that you have always been eager to refine a successful spiritual fetus pill, and it just so happens that this junior has the formula for this pill and wants to give it to him." "You? What? You have the spirit embryo pill recipe?" Suddenly, Bai Qiusheng's expression became extremely excited, turning into a white shadow, appearing in front of Tan Yun, and tremblingly said, "Master Tan, take it out and show it to the old man, quick." Spirit embryo pill is a spiritual embryo cultivator, a Kueba level pill, which can improve the spiritual embryo cultivator's realm. There is no doubt that whoever can get the pill recipe will be 10 years long and 3 years short, and it will be enough to create a group of powerhouses at the 8th or even 9th level of the spirit embryo realm. Seeing the excited Bai Qiusheng, Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi looked at each other, secretly thinking that something was wrong. Knowing that Tan Yun wants to use the pill formula, let Bai Qiusheng help the Tan family. However, when the two thought about it, they were relieved. In the eyes of the two of them, the pill recipe of the spirit embryo pill is too precious, and Tan Yun can't have it at all. If there is, the Tan family has already dominated Mochizuki town, and it will not be until now. Only Mr. Tan is the 8th level of spiritual embryo realm. "Yuner, do you really have an elixir?" Tan Changchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru said excitedly. "Yeah." Tan Yun finished speaking, looked at Bai Qiusheng, and said neither arrogantly nor arrogantly, "Junior can give you the pill recipe, but I hope you promise this junior a condition. Of course, this junior won't make you too embarrassed." "Say, under what conditions?" Bai Qiusheng frowned. "Junior hopes that you can shelter my Tan family for a month. In a month, whether my Tan family lives or dies has nothing to do with you." Tan Yun's eyes flickered as he spoke. Tan Yun knew that although Dan Feng had a strong temptation for Bai Qiusheng, it was not enough to make him turn against the Situ family and the Lu family. As for the 1-month deadline, Bai Qiusheng would definitely agree. As long as he promises, relying on the memory of the eternal reincarnation, 1 month is enough to greatly increase his strength, and he has the strength to compete with the two major families. Bai Qiusheng closed his eyes, pondered for a while, then nodded and said, "Okay. As long as you have the pill recipe, who would dare to touch your Tan family, unless you step over the old corpse first?" "Old Bai, you have always been consistent in your words. With your words, the younger generation will be relieved." Tan Yun calmed down and smiled slightly. "Old Bai, do you have a blank jade slip?" "Yes." Bai Qiusheng's fingers flashed, and a blank jade slip appeared in his hand and handed it to Tan Yun. Tan Yun was in the spotlight, manipulated his spiritual sense into the jade slip, and used his spiritual sense to draw and write on the jade slip. After a series of dense handwriting, he handed the jade slip to Bai Qiusheng. Bai Qiusheng couldn't wait to put his spiritual consciousness into the jade slip, and after a while, his eyes showed extreme excitement. He raised his head and laughed. "Ha ha ha, no wonder the old man has been studying for decades, but he still can't refine the spiritual embryo pill. It turns out that not only 3 elixir are missing, but 2 steps are missing. Master Tan, this old man is very grateful to you. Please accept this old man's worship. Bai Qiusheng bowed his spine deeply towards Tan Yun. My God! Master Tan really has a pill recipe. Yeah. How is this possible? The pot exploded in the hall, and all the patriarchs exclaimed in disbelief. On the other hand, Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi were both shocked and angry. The two never imagined that Tan Yin actually took out the pill. Old Bai, you still need to see clearly that Dan Fong is the right person, and don't let Tan Yin deceive you with falsehood. Lu Boyi said in a low voice, holding back his anger. Bai Qiusheng frowned and said calmly, Thank you, Patriarch Lu, for reminding me, the old man has seen it clearly. Old Bai, do you really want to have a grudge against my family for the sake of the Tan family? Situ Tianluan gritted his teeth. Obviously an impatient. Humph, why did Patriarch Situ say this? Bai Qiusheng narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly, you know that the old man has received the pill recipe, and you will fulfill your promise to protect the Tan family for a month, but you still want to do something to the Tan family. See if you all want to have a grudge with the old man. Old Bai, don't be angry, I and Patriarch Situ will come back in a month. Lu Boyi clenched his fists with an ugly face, then, looking sideways at Situ Tianluan, said solemnly, Xiandi Situ, let's go. After that, Lu Boyi took Lu Ruyan and walked outside the hall. Situ Tianluan followed with an unwilling expression, and when passing by Tan Changchun, he was furious. 1 month later, it will be the death of your Tan family. The old man is here to accompany you at any time. Tan Changchun looked at Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi who were stepping out of the hall, trembling with anger, take your people and get me out of Tan Mansion. After Lu Boyi and Situ Tianluan left the Tan residence in a rage, they ordered 500 guards to loot all the Tan family shops in the city within 3 days. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 3, Marriage is Over. Chapter 3 The Marriage is Over. Tan Mansion, the Hall of VIPs. Tan Changchun asked Tan Yun with lingering fears how he learned that the housekeeper was bought by Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi. There is also the spirit embryo pill formula, where does it come from? Tan Yun told his grandfather without showing his expression, that he had received advice from a master, and the master left Dan Fong to help the Tan family through the crisis and then left. People are convinced of this. Because apart from that, everyone really couldn't think of where Tan Yun got the pill recipe. Master Tan, since your marriage is on hold, I'll take my leave. All the homeowners resigned. Hey, everyone, walk slowly. Tan Changchun said apologetically, and clasped his fists at everyone, today, it was my Tan family who didn't take good care of me. I hope you will forgive me. Don't dare. A patriarch said righteously, Master Tan, fairness and freedom are in the hearts of the people. We believe what Master Tan said. Yeah. Everyone agreed, and they were about to leave. Uncles and uncles, please stay. Tan Yun bowed slightly to everyone, the wedding will continue as usual. The audience was amazed, the bride was gone, how could it be done? Yuner, are you confused? Feng Jingru raised her hand and put her hand on Tan Yun's forehead, confused, you don't have a fever, why are you talking nonsense? Yuner, the masters are busy with their affairs, don't make trouble. Tan Feng glared at Tan Yun. Thump. Tan Yun suddenly knelt on the ground and said loudly, Grandpa, Father, Mother, the child wants to marry Yuqin, please do it. As soon as Tan Yun finished speaking, Nangong Yuqin, who happened to hold the wedding dress in his hand, entered the hall. Her delicate body shook, and the bridal gown in her hand fell to the ground. Her mind was blank, but tears blurred her vision. Feng Jingru glanced at Nangong Yuqin dotingly, and immediately looked at Tan Yun with a displeased expression, Yuner, don't blame your mother for speaking for Qiner. Before you and Lu Ruyan got engaged, my mother asked you again and again if you would like to marry Qiner, but you said you didn't like Qiner at all. If you don't like it, don't hurt others. How can marriage matters be child's play? Mother doesn't agree. Feng Jingru said it very firmly. Although Nangong Yuqin is not biological, she regards him as her own. Mother, the baby swears to you that she truly loves Yuqin. In the future, the baby would rather lose the world than her. Tan Yun said sincerely, please do it. Is this true? Feng Jingru's expression softened slightly, but her heart was filled with joy. She likes Yuqin so much. It's absolutely true. Tan Yun said decisively. Mother agrees, you should ask Qin'er's opinion. Feng Jingru smiled kindly. Thank you, babe. After Tan Yun got up, he came to Nangong Yuqin and said affectionately, I didn't realize until today that you are my Tan Yun's destined wife. Even if Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi did not attempt to occupy the Tan family's property, I will not marry Lu Ruyan. Because the person I love is not her, but you. Nangong Yuqin's tears were dripping, she felt so wronged, my adoptive mother tried to ask me to marry you many times, but you always refused. Yes, I like you, and I have always wanted to marry you. But I really am not sure if you're sincere to me. I understand. Tan Yun said softly. After leaning over and picking up the wedding dress on the ground, he looked at Nangong Yuqin and said, it can testify to my determination to marry you. Since I asked you to choose the most beautiful bridal dress, I decided to marry you. Tan Yun held the bridal dress with his left hand, and extended his right hand to wipe Nangong Yuqin's tears, softly said, I'm sorry, I was dealing with Lu Ruyan's marriage just now, so I couldn't accompany you to buy wedding dresses. It turns out that you asked me to choose the wedding dress, just for me to prepare it for myself. Nangong Yuqin fell into Tan Yun's arms while muttering with tears in her eyes. Silly girl, stop crying. Tan Yun hugged her tightly and whispered, will you marry me? I am willing. Nangong Yuqin cried with joy. Ha 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 ha, good. Tan Changchun looked around everyone with overjoyed joy, and said in a loud voice, everyone, please take your seats, the old man announced that I, Yuner and Qiner, will be married in a moment's time. Congratulations. He she. All the masters laughed and took their seats one after another. Feng Jingru smiled and instructed the two maids to bring Nangong Yuqin to make up and change clothes. The Tan mansion was once again buzzing with gongs and drums, and fireworks lit up the low night. A moment later. Nangong Yuqin, wearing a bridal gown and covering her head, slowly walked into the VIP hall with the help of two maids. Tan Yun cherishes the kindness of the past life and the fate of this life. He stared at Nangong Yuqin affectionately, never feeling so happy. Mr. Tan, how about being an old man to preside over the wedding? Bai Qiusheng, who got the pill recipe of the spirit embryo, was very happy and laughed. It's my grandson's honor to have Bai Lao to host. Tan Changchun stroked his beard and smiled, Bai Lao please. Okay. When Bai Qiusheng responded, Tan Yun and Nangong Yuqin stood side by side, in front of Tan Changchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru. Bridegroom Tan Yun, bride Nangong Yuqin. Bai Qiusheng's voice was loud, lingering in the hall for a long time, waiting for heaven and earth. Tan Yun and Nangong Yuqin turned to face the sky outside the hall. Just as they knelt down and were about to kowtow, suddenly, an old voice filled with endless anger sounded like thunder in the vast snowy sky, wait. Boom. In the next moment, an invisible force seemed to penetrate through the void and slammed into Tan Yun's chest. Puff. Tan Yunku spurted blood, like a kite with a broken string, and was blasted several dozen feet away, and fell heavily into the hall. Tan Yun. Nangong Yuqin lifted his hijab, let out a cry like a cuckoo weeping blood, and ran towards Tan Yun. Who dares to run wild in my Tan family? Tan Changchun burst into anger, turning into an afterimage and swept out of the hall. Whoosh whoosh. In addition to Feng Jingru and Nangong Yuqin, who left behind to take care of Tan Yun who fell to the ground, Bai Qiusheng and all the family masters shot out of the hall very quickly, stood with Tan Changchun in the snow, and looked up at the vast snowy sky with vigilance. Who is pretending to be a ghost? Get out of here for this old man. Tan Changchun roared angrily, staring at the empty sky. An ant in the spirit embryo realm dares to speak rudely to the old man. All kneel down to the old man. With a sullen voice, in an instant, an unattainable force descended from the sky like an overwhelming force, covering everyone. Everyone seemed to be carrying a big mountain and knelt on the ground without any resistance. Everyone was shivering and terrified, knowing that a mighty man like a prison had come to the Tan family. Junior is offended, I implore Senior to atone. Tan Changchun trembled cautiously. Humph. With a cold snort, a white beam of light descended from the sky, and in front of the VIP hall, turned into an old man with a childish face. The white-haired old man ignored everyone. After he stooped and walked into the hall, his eyes were fixed on Nangong Yuqin, and he couldn't move any longer. He whispered to himself, and the wife of the master is so similar. Damn old man, I don't understand what you said. Nangong Yuqin helped Tan Yun to stand up. She angered the white-haired old man, we don't know you at all, why are you hurting people? Quiet your anger. The white-haired old man bowed slightly to Nangong Yuqin, then glanced at Feng Jingru without anger. 15 years ago, late at night, did you take in a baby at the entrance of Tan Mansion? And this baby has a jade pendant with the word Nangong inscribed in it. So, you named the baby girl Yuqin. Feng Jingru looked shocked and said, how did you know? The reason for this is inconvenient for the old man to say more. The white-haired old man said lightly, facing Nangong Yuqin, and suddenly knelt down, old slave Duan Sangtian, see miss. Miss, your mother asked the old slave to pick you up and go home. Are you really sent by my mother? Nangong Yuqin said coldly. Miss Hui, give the old slave 10,000 courage, and the old slave will not dare to lie to you. The white-haired old man said respectfully. Nangong Yuqin smiled, her smile was cold, and her voice contained no trace of emotion, abandoned me for 15 years, and now I think of looking for me. Go away, I'm already the daughter-in-law of the Tan family, am I right? I'll be back with you. Miss, absolutely. The white-haired old man still couldn't stand on his knees, and he looked at Tan Yun with contempt, you have a noble status, but he is just a humble ant. If your mother knew about it, she would never allow it. You're going to marry him. Besides, you haven't worshipped the world yet. Please pay attention to your words. Nangong Yuqin said decisively, go away, I don't want to see you again. Miss, since you said so, then please forgive the old slave. The white-haired old man saw that Nangong Yuqin had made up his mind, and disappeared instantly. Before Tan Yun could react, the white-haired old man had already taken away Nangong Yuqin and pulled him behind him. Nangong Yuqin screamed anxiously, I don't want to be separated from him, let me go. He's my wife, you let me go. Tan Yun clenched his fists tightly, with bulging veins on his face, and roared. You're courting death. The white-haired old man had murderous intent on his face. After he let go of Nangong Yuqin with his left hand, he flicked his figure and grabbed Tan Yun's neck with his right hand and lifted Tan Yun up. Tan Yun's face flushed, staring at the white-haired old man angrily, roaring vaguely. The white-haired old man pinched Tan Yun and said angrily, even if he is the current prince of the Huangfu holy dynasty, he may not be qualified to marry my young lady. What are you? Go to hell. Senior is kind, for the sake of me nurturing China into an adult, please forgive me. Feng Jingru hugged the white-haired old man's calf and kowtowed in panic. Humph, if it's not for the sake of this kindness, just because your son wants to get in on my young lady, the old man has already destroyed your Tan family. Get the old man away. The white-haired old man kicked Feng Jingru away. Stop me, or I'll die in front of you now. Nangong Yuqin cried, holding the sword around her neck. The sharp blade has cut the skin, and strands of bright red blood dripped onto the ground along the blade, splashing blood flowers. Miss, as long as you promise to go home with the old slave will let him go. Otherwise, there will be no Tan family in Wangyue town from now on. The white-haired old man had no doubts, he flicked his right arm, and suddenly, Nangong Yuqin's wrist holding the sword was numb for a while, and the long sword fell to the ground. Why are you forcing me like this? Nangong Yuqin shook her head violently, crying in grief, why are you breaking us up? Miss, the old slave said that he is not worthy of you. The white-haired old man took a deep breath and said respectfully, Miss, you decide. Either leave him or the Tan family will die. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 4, Great Increase in Strength. Chapter 4, Great Increase in Strength. Okay. I promise to go home with you, woo woo. Nangong Yuqin's beautiful eyes were somber, she burst into tears, and suddenly screamed in horror, what are you going to do to him? But seeing the white-haired old man, he squeezed Tan Yun's mouth open with his left hand, and then stuffed a blood-red medicinal pill in his right hand into Tan Yun's mouth. Tan Yun seemed to recognize the medicine pill, his eyes were horrified and bloodshot, but he couldn't change the bad luck of the medicine pill entrance. After the medicinal pill entered his stomach, Tan Yun softly lost consciousness, thump. The white-haired old man threw Tan Yun on the ground, turned and walked towards Nangong Yuqin. You bastard, what did you do to him? Nangong Yuqin sobbed madly. Miss, don't worry, the old slave just gave him the soul addiction pill. The white-haired old man said truthfully, when he wakes up, he will never remember you again, and he will never pester you again. No. No. Nangong Yuqin's eyes were desperate, a purplish-red blood spurted out of his mouth, and he fainted immediately. This is hard work. Only when a person is extremely sad, will the hard work pour out of the mouth against the current. Miss, what's the trouble with you? The old slave is also for your own good. After the white-haired old man picked up Nangong Yuqin, he rose into the sky and stood above the VIP hall in the eyes of everyone's astonished eyes. He looked down at the people kneeling on the ground, and said indifferently, whoever dares to publicize today's matter, the old man will definitely wong you a town. Also, you can pretend that the Tan family has never had a person like Nangong Yuqin, listen clearly. No. Report to the seniors, the juniors heard clearly. After everyone responded tremblingly, in the dim snowy sky, where was there any trace of the white-haired old man? Grandson. Yuner. Tan Changchun and Tan Feng hurriedly rushed into the hall. Afterwards, Bai Qiusheng diagnosed Tan Yun and found that Tan Yun was fine. Hundreds of patriarchs left with lingering fears, saying goodbye to Tan Changchun. Feng Jingru endured the pain of losing Yuqin, and immediately summoned the Tan family guards and servants. Let everyone be tight-lipped in front of Tan Yun, and don't mention the existence of Nangong Yuqin. After half an hour, Tan Yun woke up and felt a headache. He found that his grandfather and parents were looking at him with rosy eyes. Mother, why are you crying? Tan Yun said with a confused look, and why did I fall asleep? Yuner, you suddenly fainted before, mother, isn't she worried about you? Feng Jingru said while wiping her tears. Mother, don't cry, isn't it okay, baby? Tan Yun smiled and stood up from the chair, his eyes cold. Grandpa, father, mother, don't worry, in a month, I will definitely uproot the Situ family and the Lu family without leaving an inch of grass. Yuner, you can't be too ambitious. Don't worry about it. Grandpa will find a way. Tan Changchun didn't take Tan Yun's word seriously. Tan Yun did not explain much. He knew that no one would believe him even if he explained it. Patriarch, something is wrong. At this time, a guard rushed into the VIP hall in a hurry. What's the panic? Tan Changchun frowned. Report to the Patriarch, the guards of the Situ family and the Lu family are now smashing and looting all the shops of our Tan family. The guard gasped. How unreasonable. After Tan Changchun scolded, he paced back and forth frowning. Fenger, what do you think of this? Father, now the enemy is strong and I am weak. According to my child's opinion, I can only bear it for the time being. Tan Feng said solemnly, our top priority is to find a way to overcome the family crisis in January. Well, that's the only way to do it. Tan Changchun nodded helplessly. Hearing this, Tan Yun told Feng Jingru that he was going to retreat and leave. Passing through the winding pavilions, Tan Yun suddenly stopped when he passed a pavilion. He looked at the words, Yuqin Pavilion, on the plaque, and felt that his heart was empty, and a faint sadness eroded his heart, as if he had lost something. Tan Yun called the maid who was cleaning the snow in the courtyard and asked, who lived here? Why can't I remember? Reporting to the young master, one of the Yuqin pavilions is empty. The maid lowered her head and replied, no one has ever lived. Oh. Tan Yun shook his head, and the heavy snow continued towards Cloud Pavilion. The maid looked at Tan Yun's back, faintly visible, with tears in her eyes. Young master is really pitiful, he likes Miss Yuqin so much, but now he has forgotten her forever. Cloud Pavilion, on the couch on the second floor, Tan Yun sat cross-legged. Hongmeng Qi Condensation Art. After Tan Yun drew a mysterious trajectory with both hands, he formed a seal on his chest. Immediately, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth within a radius of 100 zhang gathered into a strong torrent of spiritual energy, which poured into Yun Pavilion at a speed 10 times faster than ordinary people, and then continuously drilled into Tan Yunmei's heart. Time flies, 28 days later. During this period, the news that the Lu family and the Situ family joined forces to deal with the Tan family spread all over the town. Hundreds of thousands of townspeople, mostly with the attitude of watching a good show, wait for Lu Boyi and Situ Tianluan to bring people to Tan Mansion 2 days later. Cloud Pavilion. Boom, boom, boom. Tan Yun sat cross-legged, and 3 dull sounds came from his body. At this moment, 6 dry wells with a diameter of 1 zhang appeared in the spiritual pool between his eyebrows. It means that he has entered the 6th level from the 3rd level of the spiritual embryo realm. Those 6 crystal clear dry wells are exactly his 6 spiritual embryos. It's time to practice the Hongmeng hegemony body. Tan Yun closed his eyes and focused on meditation, and came to the spiritual pool. In a single thought, he disappeared out of thin air, and immediately, the scene in front of him changed and entered the heart of Hongmeng. The inner space of the heart of Hongmeng is vast and boundless, and the sky is filled with a strong atmosphere of Hongmeng, as if it can condense water. Tan Yun is like the ruler of this Hongmeng world. He stands in the air, overlooking the ocean like Hongmeng divine liquid below, and his star eyes reveal a strong hope. Tan Yun now has 4 major cultivation techniques. 1. Hongmeng hegemonic body, divided into 24 levels. Each stage is divided into 4 stages: initial stage, small stage, big stage, and peak. Use Hongmeng divine liquid to temper the flesh and reach the advanced level. The second, Hongmeng sacred flame, which is divided into Hongmeng ice flame and Hongmeng flame, and each flame is divided into 24 levels. You need to devour ice attribute and fire attribute fire to advance. The third one, Hongmeng slaughtering divine sword formation, Hongmeng slaughtering divine sword art. Only when he breaks through the spirit embryo realm and is promoted to the embryo realm can he cultivate. Fourth, Hongmeng divine eye, which can see through the strength of a monk who is a great realm higher than himself. At the same time, anyone with a stronger soul than him will be controlled by Shentong. I long for power, powerful power. Tan Yun sat cross-legged in the sky. Immediately, 6 flood dragon-like primordial divine liquid rose from the ocean-like liquid surface, penetrated into the center of his eyebrows, turned into innumerable strands, wandered in the body, and began to temper his skin. Hiss. The process of quenching is like a golden needle constantly shuttled in the body, and the pain makes Tan Yun's facial features twisted. After 2 days of tempering, Tan Yun completely refined the Hongmeng divine liquid in his body, and then entered the first rank of Hongmeng hegemonic body. Possessing the power to tear apart with bare hands, a mid-grade spirit soldier. In the future, every time he raises a realm, he will be able to refine a stream of Hongmeng divine liquid, tempering his fleshly body. Buzz. Tan Yun's hair fluttered, and his spiritual consciousness stretched out like an invisible tide, and finally enveloped the area of 8 miles around Tan Mansion. In the next instant, the endless stream of pedestrians on the street appeared in his mind. The stronger the body of the monk, the stronger the soul, and the wider the range of spiritual consciousness. Usually, a monk at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm can cover a radius of 6 li with spiritual consciousness. And Tan Yun actually shrouded in a radius of 8 miles. The strength of the soul is comparable to that of the 8th level of the spirit embryo realm. Suddenly, Tan Yun's face changed suddenly. Through his spiritual sense, he found that the gate of Tan Mansion was shattered. Then, 2 figures covered in blood were blasted into the courtyard. The 2 are none other than Tan Yun's grandfather Tan Changchun and his father Tan Feng. Immediately afterwards, Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi, laughing wildly, entered the Tan Mansion. Then Situ Jiannan and Lu Rian rushed into the Tan Mansion with 500 guards murderous. A bunch of beasts, today I will let you go back and forth. Tan Yun's eyes revealed endless killing intent, he jumped out of the cloud pavilion through the broken window, and rushed towards the gate of the mansion. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 5, Rampage. Chapter 5 Violent Killing. Tan Changchun and Tan Feng stood up bruised and looked at Situ Tianluan and Lu Boyi desperately. Although Tan Changchun was at the 8th level of the spiritual embryo realm with the two great masters, he was too old to be a match for one of them. And Tan Feng is only at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm, and in front of the two great masters, he has no power to fight back. Lu Boyi despised Tan Changchun and sneered, "Old man, you have been in touch with other family owners this month, right? You idiot, don't think about it. Who would dare to offend me for your Tan family in the whole city?" As Lu Boyi said, within this month, Tan Changchun wanted to win over other families to help the Tan family get through the crisis. But under the balance of the family leaders, in the end, no one was willing to offend the other two families for the Tan family. The winner is the king and the loser is the pirate, the old man has nothing to say. Tan Changchun sighed and pleaded with humiliation, "The old man only asks you, let the people of my Tan family go, they are innocent. Patriarch, we are the Tan family in life, and the Tan family ghosts in death. We want to live and die together with the Tan family." The 200 guards in the Tan residence, armed with spears, roared like they were going to die. "Nonsense." Tan Changchun looked at the guards, "You also have family members. If you die, what will happen to your family members?" "Shut up, the old man." Since ancient times, the dilemma of loyalty and filial piety, the guards thought that the blood of a moment would bring endless grief to their wives, children, and they fell silent with tears. "Tsk tisk, I'm so moved. I'm so moved." Lu Boyi stared at Tan Changchun and mocked, "Old man, don't you even understand the truth of cutting weeds? Humph, let me tell you, there are 308 people in your Tan residence today. Everyone has to die. You ruthless beast, this old man is fighting with you." Tan Changchun was furious and was about to fight to the death when a blocking voice came from behind his ear, "Grandpa, wait." When Tan Changchun looked back and saw that it was Tan Yun, he roared with red eyes, "Grandson, what are you doing here? There are Grandpa and your father here, run away." "Yuner, run." Tan Feng growled. At this time, Feng Jingru, who was at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm, held a sword in his right hand, and came to Tan Feng anxiously, and said with tears, "Yuner, mother, your father, and your grandfather hold them back, you listen to your mother's words and run away. The farther you escape, the better." "I can't go." Tan Yun shook his head firmly, and went straight to his parents and grandfather. "You're trying to off mother." Feng Jingru pushed Tan Yun, anxiously said, "Go away, go away. Mother, you have to believe in the child. If the child is here, my Tan family will never perish." Tan Yun said loudly, "Mother, you support father and grandfather to rest first, and this is handed over to the child." Seeing that it was useless to persuade Feng Jingru, her expression was extremely painful. "Hey, no wonder you brat dares to speak up, it turns out that you were promoted to the 6th realm." Situ Tianluan stared at Tan Yun playfully, and said, "In just 1 month, you have been promoted to the 3rd realm in a row, and it seems that you have taken pills less often." Bar. Tan Changchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru only checked the realm of Tan Yun. When they found out that Tan Yun was really at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm, the three of them set off a storm in their hearts. They were sure that during Tan Yun's retreat, he did not take any medicine pills. Tan Yun looked at Situ Tianluan coldly, and his starry eyes were full of anger. "Whether I have taken the medicine pill or not, you can't leave alive today. I don't know how tall the little is, I will tear you apart." Situ Tianluan's lungs were about to explode with anger. "Father, how can you kill him yourself? Let's leave it to the boy." Situ Jianan strode to Situ Tianluan and glared at Tan Yun. In an instant, the aura of the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm was released. Makes the surrounding heaven and earth aura, showing a circle of ripples. He is worthy of being the top 3 geniuses in Wangyue town. He was still at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm a month ago, and now he has entered the 7th level. "Yeah." Situ Tianluan nodded and said, "Jiannan, pay attention to safety. Don't worry, Dad." Situ Jianan glanced at Tan Yun. Killing him is as easy as crushing an ant. Yuner, be careful. Tan Chongchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru looked anxious. Go to hell. Situ Jianan touched the ground with his toes, turned into an afterimage, and violently threw a punch, directly hitting Tan Yun's face. He is extremely conceited. To deal with Tan Yun, who is at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm, he can blast Tan Yun's head with one punch without using a sword at all. Drink! Tan Yun shouted loudly, and suddenly punched out. The fist was like a meteor, causing the space around him to tremble slightly. Bang! Kacha! When the two fists met, a vortex of spiritual power exploded like a nebula, the blood mist filled the air, and the broken fingers were shot in all directions. Ah, this is impossible. You are only in the 6th level, how can you be my opponent? Situ Jianan screamed in horror, blood spurted from his mouth, and was blasted away like a sandbag. Whoosh! Before Situ Jianan landed, Tan Yun, in the shape of a ghost, swept across the low sky at high speed, his left hand tightly clamped Situ Jianan's neck, and lifted him up like a chicken. Father, save me! Situ Jianan cried. Situ Tianluan couldn't care to think about his beloved son, why he was not Tan Yun's opponent. He roared with split eyes, Tan Yun, let go of my son. He, I'll let your mother go. Tan Yun was like a of killing who descended into the world. He grabbed Situ Jianan's neck with his left hand, and grabbed the tiger's mouth with his right hand. No. Ah. Situ Jianan screamed and howled, Kacha. Tan Yun forcibly tore off his entire left arm. Son. Situ Tianluan was mixed with grief and anger, and begged, Tan Yun, as long as you let my son go, I will withdraw from Tan Mansion immediately, please don't hurt him again. If you really want to beg me, then you have to look like you are begging. Tan Yun stared at Situ Tianluan gloomily, and said sharply, kneel down for me. You. Situ Tianluan was so angry that he was cut off by Tan Yun as soon as he opened his mouth. What are you? Kneel down for Lao Tzu. Crack. With that said, Tan Yun kicked Situ Jianan's left knee, blood splashed everywhere, and the severed limb flew in front of Situ Tianluan. Ah! Dad, save me, save me. Situ Jianan's tears flowed into his mouth. The pain of a broken arm and a broken leg eroded every nerve in him. Tan Yun, I'm kneeling, I'm kneeling. You don't want to kill me again. Situ Tianluan burst into tears and knelt in front of Tan Yun. Jianan. Lu Ru's face turned pale with fireworks, and she burst into tears. Tan Yun glared at Lu Ruyan, with bulging veins on his face, like earthworms crawling all over his cheeks, and sneered, bitch, when you were engaged to Lao Tzu, you even had an affair with Situ Jianan. Today you all have to pay a heavy price. Cost. Boom. Tan Yun raised his right foot and stepped on Situ Jianan's crotch. Immediately, there was a sound like a burst of bubbles. Situ Jianan's lower body was destroyed, and his descendants were completely cut off. No. Situ Jianan fainted in the hoarse wailing. Tan Yun, let me go immediately. Situ Tianluan stood up from the ground, trembling violently, otherwise, I will let everyone in the Tan residence live rather than die. Ha ha ha, come if you can. As for your son, he is dead. Tan Yun laughed wildly, bending his fingers to exert force, and the blood splattered and pinched Situ Jianan's neck. The severed head was on the ground, and the bones rolled to the feet of Situ Tianluan, and the headless corpse fell limply in a pool of blood. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 6, Blood Kills Situ Tianluan. Chapter 6 Blood Kills Situ Tianluan. Seeing Situ Jianan's horrific corpse, Situ Tianluan was heartbroken. He never thought that Aiko would die at the hands of Tan Yun. Jianan. Lu Ruyan burst into tears, her beautiful eyes filled with deep sorrow. Tan Chongchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru looked at Tan Yun in shock and excitement. Master is mighty. Master is mighty. The 200 guards of the Tan family looked at Tan Yun with admiration, and couldn't help shouting loudly. In everyone's eyes, Tan Yun has changed. He is no longer decadent, no longer a waste in the eyes of the world. Son. Don't worry, Dad will definitely avenge you with his own hands, and let everyone in the Tan family bury you with you. Situ Tianluan wiped away his tears, stared at Tan Yun, and roared, "Chop off, accept your life." Situ Tianluan's robe danced, and in an instant, a ball of spiritual energy condensed from his right palm, with a violent aura, waving at Tan Yun. The 8th level strength of the spirit embryo realm is unreserved. Tan Yun's expression was dignified, neither dodging nor dodging. Streams of golden spiritual power poured out of his body, revolving around his body at high speed, like a golden of war, standing between heaven and earth. Roar! Tan Yun let out a low roar like a beast, and threw his right fist with all his strength. Bang, hum! At the moment when the fists and palms collided, the violent energy storm, like a scorching sun, burst into dazzling rays of light, making everyone turn their heads one after another, and their eyes fell into a brief darkness. Crack! When the rays of light dissipated, with a clear bone-cracking sound, Situ Tianluan took 5 steps back in awe before he stood firm. His right arm was severely deformed, a piece of white bone, blood pierced out of the skin, looking particularly horrific. Obviously, his right arm was hit hard by Tan Yun. Thorn! After Tan Yun slid several feet on the ground, he stood still with a pale face, and wisps of blood dripped down the corner of his mouth onto the ground. Not only that, the mouth of his right hand was cracked and the blood was gurgling. "Brother Situ, help your brother." Lu Boyi stared at Tan Yun in disbelief, and suggested with a gloomy expression. He was extremely shocked in his heart. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe the fact that Tan Yun could abolish Situ Tianluan's right arm with one punch. "Brother Lu doesn't need to take action, I want to kill him to avenge my son." Situ Tianluan really refused. Immediately afterwards, he stepped on the ground, jumped 10 feet, and with his left hand shining brightly, he brought up a domineering sword light and aggressively slashed down at Tan Yun. Hongmeng Divine Walk. Tan Yun's expression became solemn, and it turned into an afterimage that appeared 3 feet away. "You are only at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm, how can you be so fast?" Situ Tianluan was furious. He understands that Tan Yunding is practicing some kind of movement technique. Otherwise, in Tan Yun's realm, the speed is far behind himself. Situ Tianluan contained his anger, his figure flickered at high speed, and he slashed towards Tan Yun with sharp sword beams. Since Tan Yun's realm was 2 layers lower than Situ Tianluan's, even though he used the Hongmeng Divine Step, his dodging speed was still slightly slower than Situ Tianluan's. Push, puff. Tan Yun was in a state of embarrassment, unable to dodge in time, bloodshot, and dozens of wounds all over his body. Yuner. Tan Chongchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru burst into tears in despair. Go to hell. Situ Tianluan flew down from a low altitude, stabbing a sword at Tan Yun's throat like lightning. A sword locked the bruised Tan Yun. Tan Yun is unavoidable, can't dodge in time. It's this time, Hongmeng Divine Eye. Suddenly, Tan Yun's eyes became deep, and when a strange red light flashed from his pupils, he suddenly raised his head and stared at Situ Tianluan. Boom! When Situ Tianluan and Tan Yun looked at each other, he felt a strong dizziness raging through his mind. The sword he stabbed, even though it resisted Tan Yun's throat, and the icy tip of the sword pierced the skin of the throat, but it never pierced any further. No, Tong Shu. Situ Tianluan's back was chilled. At this moment, Lu Boyi's hysterical shout echoed in his ears, "Xiandi Situ, close your eyes and avoid." When Situ Tianluan suddenly woke up, Tan Yun, covered in blood, had already jumped over his head and stomped his head fiercely with one foot. Crack! Situ Tianluan turned his head in horror and avoided the bad luck of a headshot, but his right shoulder was stomped off by Tan Yun. The whole right arm flew away from the body. What? When Situ Tianluan screamed in agony, Tan Chongchun, who was seriously injured, suddenly attacked with a sword. A sword was inserted from Situ Tianluan's back. The tip of the sword pierced through his heart, and a stream of blood came out from his chest. Unwilling. Situ Tianluan seemed to have exhausted all his strength, looking back at Lu Boyi with difficulty, blood spurted out of his mouth continuously. Avenge me. I will. I will. Lu Boyi seemed sad, but was actually excited. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. Situ Tianluan is dead, and when he destroys the Tan family again, then he can annex the properties of the Tan family and the Situ family and become the overlord of Wangyue town. Thanks, thanks. After Situ Tianluan said, he turned his head and stared at Tan Yun, and said intermittently, miscellaneous, if it wasn't for my carelessness, how could I have been confused by your pupil technique? Tan Yun came to Situ Tianluan indifferently and said in a voice like a mosquito, don't worry, I will not leave you alone. When I solve Lu Boyi, your Situ family, men, women and children, will accompany you in hell. You are not human. Before Situ Tianluan could finish speaking, Tan Yun smashed his head with a fist, and the head burst like a watermelon. At this moment, Tan Yun's chest, arms, and injured legs were wounded vertically and horizontally by the sword, the skin was ripped apart, and the blood soaked the robe. Yuner, does it matter if you're hurt? Feng Jingru's love child asked eagerly, sobbing. Tan Changchun and Tan Feng also looked at Tan Yun anxiously. Tan Yun endured the severe pain all over his body, and threw a reassuring smile at the three of them, and said loudly, Mother, for so many years, the child has been called a waste, and you, father, and grandfather have been shamed. Although you have never blamed me, but I know you're not feeling well. Mother, it's time for the baby to repay you. The baby is still like that. If the baby is here, my Tan family will never perish. From now on, whoever dares to offend my Tan family will be punished even if they are far away. Hearing this, Tan Changchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru were already in tears. He, a good one will be killed even if he is far away. Lu Boyi closed his eyes and laughed wildly, you think you can kill Patriarch Situ, and you are my opponent? I don't know what the sky is, I won't look at you, yours the pupil technique is useless to me, I see how you can kill me. Speaking of which, Lu Boyi released his spiritual consciousness, covering the entire Tan mansion, and the confrontation with Tan Yun appeared in his mind. If you don't have pupil skills, I will still kill you. Tan Yun said, loudly, Father, let me use your high-grade spirit soldier sword. Call out. With a wave of Tan Feng's right hand, a snow-white long sword shot at Tan Yun. Tan Yun stretched out his right hand, and after catching the long sword, his spiritual power coiled all over his body, and afterimages filled with afterimages, he brought up a dazzling sword curtain and shrouded Lu Boyi. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 7, Fierce Battle. Chapter 7 Fierce Battle. Lu Boyi looked disdainful, and when the red light of Qianquan Jia shone, a blood-red long sword appeared out of thin air from his right hand. Immediately, the wrist danced rapidly, and suddenly, the sword glowed in all directions. Dang dang dang. Sparks splashed around in the sound of gold and iron. Facing Tan Yun's fatal strike, Lu Boyi calmly blocked as many as he could. Meteor blood kill. Lu Boyi snorted, and 9 blood-colored sword beams flourished, like meteors penetrating the void one after another, rushing towards Tan Yun from all directions. The speed is fast to the extreme. Grandson, be careful. Tan Changchun called out in horror. He knew that meteor blood kill was the most powerful blow in meteor sword art. The meteor sword art is the technique of the Lu family town. With this set of swordsmanship, Lu Boyi led the Lu family into one of the 3 major families. Whoosh whoosh. Tan Yun's face was pale and his head was turned to the side in a panic. He leaned back and bent his back like a bow. He escaped dangerously and dangerously. The bad luck of being beheaded and a sword pierced through the heart, but the remaining 7 blood-colored sword beams were cut off. On him. Push, puff. The blood gleamed, and the blood stained everyone's eyes. Tan Yun was smashed into the air by the 7 swords, and fell heavily to the distance of 10 feet. His chest collapsed, and it was faintly visible that 3 ribs were broken, and thick and viscous blood spurted out from his chest. On his legs, there were 2 deep, bone-deep wounds, shocking. Hoochie hoochie. Tan Yun lay on his back, breathing heavily and rapidly. Facing such pain, he gritted his teeth and didn't say a single word of pain. Yuner, my son. Feng Jingru cried hysterically, and knelt beside Tan Yun. Tears of heartache fell on Tan Yun's face. Grandson. Yun'er. Tan Changchun and Tan Feng, who were seriously injured, walked towards Tan Yun with the help of the guards. At this moment, sadness, unwillingness, and despair occupy the hearts of everyone in the Tan family. In their view, they are certain to die. Ha ha ha, ah ha 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 ha. Lu Boyi opened his eyes and glanced at everyone, and said with an unbridled grin, "When the owner of the family destroys your Tan family, Wanyue town will be mine. Master Tan, considering our former relationship, you should surrender and commit suicide. You vicious beast." Tan Changchun glared at Lu Boyi. "I tell you, my Tan Jia would rather die in battle than surrender. The owner is right, we vow not to surrender." The guards held their spears tightly and shouted with their heads held high, resounding for dozens of miles. At this moment, there are hundreds of thousands of townspeople gathered on the crisscrossing streets outside the Tan mansion. It's over, it seems that the Tan family is completely over. Can it not be finished? The Situ clan master and the Lu clan head, they are both strong in the 8th level of the spirit embryo realm, and Mr. Tan is definitely not an opponent. Alas, the Tan family is gone. Our Mochizuki town will change in the future. Tan house, the compound. Grandpa, father, mother, don't worry, the Tan family will be here with me. Tan Yunqing stood up tremblingly. Tan Changchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru stopped abruptly when they were about to speak. What happened next to Tan Yun shocked everyone. What? Tan Yun's eyes were bloodshot, his facial features were twisted, his hair was messy, and there was no wind, and a shrill sound cut through the sky. Immediately afterwards, an ethereal flame that was as high as a foot burned from Tan Yun's head. But it was Tan Yun who used a secret technique to forcibly improve his strength at the expense of burning his soul. With the burning of the fire of the soul, Tan Yun's momentum continued to rise, and he quickly broke through the 7th level of the spiritual embryo, and did not stop until the 8th level. At this moment, he looks like a demon from the region, with a ferocious expression and a terrifying aura. Yun'er, don't scare mother. What's wrong with you? Feng Jingru cried hysterically. Mother, I don't have much time for my son. I'll talk to you after Lu Boyi is killed. After leaving a sentence, Tan Yun held the sword in his right hand and used the divine step of Hongmeng to kill Lu Boyi. Tan Yun knows very well that he only has 10 breaths to deal with Lu Boyi, and after 10 breaths, his soul will be severely damaged. 10 breaths are enough. Performing the Hongmeng divine step again, Tan Yun's speed was twice as fast as before, and his strength increased dramatically. What a fast speed! Lu Boyi froze in his heart, not being careless at all, holding the sword in his right hand to block. When? After Tan Yun slashed Lu Boyi's long sword with one sword, the long sword almost came out of his hand. Lu Boyi's right hand mouth cracked immediately, blood was pouring out. Go to hell! Tan Yun's roar resounded through the clouds, he was like an ethereal ghost, he strayed around Lu Boyi at high speed, brought up several imposing sword lights, and chopped down at Lu Boyi. Dang dang dang. After the 3 swords, the long sword in Lu Boyi's hand was cut off, and he was terrified and turned into an afterimage. Lu Ruyan was still in shock and ran out of the door. Bitch, it's too late to escape now. Leave my life behind. Tan Yun swung his body low in the air, his right hand suddenly swung out, and the long sword shot at Lu Ruyan's back with a burst of air. Yun Piluo swept out of the gate of Tan Mansion. No. Lu Ruyan couldn't dodge in time, the long sword instantly penetrated her back, took her into the air and shot 3 feet into the air, pinning her to the gate of Tan Mansion. She looked in pain, her body kept twitching, and blood was gurgling down from her red lips. After Lu Boyi escaped from Tan Mansion, he stepped on the ground, jumped 30 feet high, and swept up to the top of a pavilion. Whoosh! In the crack of the street, Tan Yun bent his knees and shot into the sky like a cannonball, his right hand grabbed Lu Boyi's right ankle. Get down for me! Tan Yun pulled Lu Boyi, and after he flew to the ground, he exerted force with the 5 fingers of his right hand, crack. The blood splashed and pinched Lu Boyi's right ankle. Ah! No! Lu Boyi screamed, Tan Yun turned his right hand into a claw, pierced Lu Boyi's chest, and forcibly pulled his 4 ribs out of his chest. Boom! Tan Yun severely smashed it to the ground. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Lu Boyi gushed blood and kept wailing at Tan Yun's feet. Tan Yun, as long as you let me go, I can promise you anything, anything. Fuck your mother, I only want your life. Tan Yun slammed, stomping on Lu Boyi with 3 legs. Crack, click, click. The blood mist filled the air, and the stumps flew. Lu Boyi's arms and left leg were immediately broken. The townspeople who were crowded on the street looked at the cruel scene of Tan Yun from afar, and their eyes widened, as if they had seen a ghost. After a short silence, countless exclamations were heard. God, am I confused? Patriarch Lu is not a match for Master Tan. Yeah. Too unbelievable. The news that Tan Yun defeated Lu Boyi spread rapidly in the crowd. Shocked hundreds of thousands of townspeople. Not long after, Feng Jingru, who was in a hurry, rushed out of the gate of the mansion and found that Tan Yun was on the verge of collapse. Feng Jingru supported Tan Yun with his left hand, and with a sword in his right, was about to slash at Lu Boyi. Beast, I will kill you. Feng Jingru, you can't kill me. Lu Boyi shouted hoarsely, you don't know yet. I found my son who was missing for 10 years just half a month ago. My family is like a dragon, and now I'm a disciple of Huangfu Shengzong. If you kill me, my longer will definitely kill your Tan family and avenge me. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 8, Jagged Shock. Chapter 8 Jagged Shock. After Feng Jingru heard the words, Huangfu Shengzong, her body trembled suddenly, and the long sword she raised never slashed at Lu Boyi. Because Huangfu Shengzong is one of the 9 ancient sects in the heavenly punishment continent. It is a place where hundreds of millions of cultivators want to worship. She never expected that Lu Rulong, who had been missing for 10 years, would change her body and become a disciple of the holy sect. Mother, whether it's true or not, you have to kill him. Tan Yun said decisively. Tan Yun, I beg you not to kill me. Lu Boyi lay on the ground and prayed, as long as you let me go, I will never seek revenge from the Tan family. If you don't believe me, I can swear. I can swear what? At this time, Tan Changchun walked out with the help of a guard, and he frowned and said, Grandson, since he can swear, otherwise don't kill him. Lu Rulong is already a disciple of Huangfu Shengzong, we Tan the family can't afford to offend. Many thanks to Mr. Tan for not killing him. Lu Boyi seemed to have returned to heaven from hell, and said gratefully, I swear. However, Tan Yun's next words instantly put him in an ice cave. Grandpa, even if Lu Rulong worships Huangfu Shengzong, Lu Boyi will die. Tan Yun said decisively, thinking of the 308 murders of the Tan family before his rebirth, and slashed Lu Boyi's head with his sword. No hesitation, no scruples. Looking at Lu Boyi, who was dying, Tan Changchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru couldn't help but feel flustered. The fact that Lu Rulong was a disciple of Huangfu Shengzong was like a huge boulder pressing down on his heart. Oh my God! Master Tan really killed the Lu family master. The Tan family is in danger this time. When young Master Lu comes back, he will definitely take revenge. The faces of the townspeople changed greatly, and they talked in low voices with different expressions. Grandpa, father, mother, don't worry, with me, Lu Rulong will never try to touch my Tan family. Tan Yun said conceitedly. Good grandson, Grandpa believes in you. When Tan Changchun spoke, the 200 guards of the Tan residence pushed the 500 surrendered guards from the Situ and Lu families out of the gate of the Tan residence. At the same time, Lu Ruyan, who was nailed to the door, was thrown at the feet of Tan Yun. Lu Ruyan was dying, blood was gurgling in her chest, she raised her head, stared viciously at Tan Yun, and said intermittently, You kill me Jiannan, kill my father, I tell you, when my eldest brother comes back. Your Tan family killed them all. A wicked smile appeared on the corner of Tan Yun's mouth, bitch, then I'll tell you, too, your eldest brother will die soon. Push. Tan Yun swung his sword and cut off Lu Ruyan's jade neck. Master Tan, spare your life, spare your life. We can't help ourselves. I beg you to let us go. The guards of the Lu family and the Situ family faced Tan Yun and kept kowtowing like garlic. At this time, thousands of people poured out of the bustling crowd. Among them, there are elderly people in their 80s and young children. They are all the family of 500 guards. Wife and children, all come. Everyone knelt behind Tan Yun sobbing, and said with grief, "Master Tan, please forgive my son. Your kindness and virtue, we will never forget. Master Tan, please forgive my husband. Brother Tan Yun, let go of my father, woo woo." The endless cries came from behind his ears, and Tan Yun's clenched fists slowly stretched out, and the killing intent on his face gradually disappeared. After a long silence, Tan Yun glanced coldly at the 500 guards. "Remember, the reason why I didn't kill you was because of your family. If you dare to offend my Tan family again in the future, I will never show mercy. Thank you Master Tan for not killing him." The guards bowed their heads gratefully, stood up, looked at Tan Yun in awe, and returned to their relatives. "Listen to the order." Tan Yun looked at the 200 guards of the Tan family and said loudly, "First, immediately wash the Situ mansion and Lu mansion with blood. Except for the servants not to be killed, if other relatives escape to the hut, they will kill me in the hut. Escape to the cellar, kill me in the cellar. Remember, no chickens and dogs. Second, change all the shops of the 2 major families into the signboards of my Tan mansion. Who dares to resist and kill them?" Hearing this, Tan Chongchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru didn't say anything. "It's the young master." The 200 guards looked excited, and immediately rushed towards the Lu mansion and the Situ mansion. Tan Yun turned his head and looked at the hundreds of big and small clan masters in front of the city people, and said indifferently, "Whoever dares to hide the people of the 2 major families, I will do what I say, and I will destroy your entire clan. I can't wait." The patriarchs were frightened. "Yuner, go back to the house. Mother will invite Bai Yaoshe to heal you." Feng Jingru said with tears in her eyes, looking at Tan Yun's tragic appearance. "Mother, the baby's injury can be cured by himself, so don't worry." Tan Yun said with a pale face and sullenness. Afterwards, Feng Jingru supported Tan Yun, returned to the mansion, came to Yun Pavilion and left. Tan Yun sat tremblingly on the couch, endured the severe pain all over his body, and began to concentrate. Because his body has been tempered by the primordial liquid, his recovery speed is 10 times that of ordinary people. At this moment, his wound was slowly healing at an imperceptible speed. The sky is full of stars, and the bright moon is embedded in the sky. The Tan family guards completed the task, returned to the Tan mansion, and stopped neatly under the cloud pavilion. Behind the guards, more than 100 servants of the Tan family also looked up at Tan Yun's room on the 2nd floor with worried eyes. Tan Yun rescued and sheltered them. They only have one wish, that the young master will recover soon. In the room on the 2nd floor, looking at Tan Yun who was sitting cross-legged, Tan Chongchun, Tan Feng, and Feng Jingru were shocked and excited beyond words. Because at this time Tan Yun, after half a day of recovery, the 3 broken ribs in his chest, as well as the wounds all over his body, appeared to heal. After the shock, the 3 of them were full of doubts, wondering what a great opportunity Tan Yun had encountered. Not only did he get rid of the name of waste, but he also possessed incredible recovery ability. It was late at night, and Tan Chongchun and Tan Feng left together to discuss how to arrange the Situ family and Lu family property to operate as soon as possible. Feng Jingru stayed behind, waiting for Tan Yun. 10 days later, the annihilation of the Situ family and the Lu family became an afterthought for the townspeople. When it comes to Tan Yun, everything changes. Tan Yun single-handedly killing the 2 masters deeply shocked the hearts of the townspeople and shocked hundreds of other masters. Since then, the waste in his eyes has become the first genius of Mochizuki town in one fell swoop. The destruction of the 2 major families has become a stepping stone for the Tan family to dominate Wangyue town. In the face of the current Tan family, hundreds of patriarchs have come to the Tan house with generous gifts, wanting to curry favor with the Tan family and befriend Tan Yun. They are convinced that as long as Tan Yun does not die prematurely, he is destined to have a bright future. Tan Mansion is like a city, and the new butler welcomes people who come to visit. Cloud Pavilion. After 10 days of recovery, Tan Yun's injuries recovered as before. But because his soul was seriously damaged, at this time, his face was still as pale as paper, and he had a splitting headache from time to time. Call. Tan Yun took a deep breath, feeling lingering fears. In the future, it will not be a last resort, and no more taboo techniques will be used to burn the soul against the enemy. Yun'er, you're awake, my mother cooked chicken soup for you, drink it while it's hot. Feng Jingru happily brought a bowl of chicken soup to the couch. Tan Yun could see that Feng Jingru's smile showed a deep worry. After Tan Yun devoured a bowl of chicken soup, he held Feng Jingru's hand and said softly, "Mother, are you worried? Lu Rulong will come back to our Tan family for revenge." Well. Feng Jingru sighed. "Mother, don't worry, the child will not sit still." Tan Yun said firmly, 1 month later, it will be the day when Huangfu Xingzong recruits disciples in the Meteorite City. Our Wangyue town is far away from the Meteorite City, and the child wants to immediately move on. No. Mother doesn't agree. Feng Jingru shook her head and said anxiously, the selection of Huangfu Xingzong is extremely cruel. Every time a selection is made, there are countless casualties. Mother is only a son like you, mother can't let you take risks. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 9, Beautiful as Godness. Chapter 9 Beautiful as a Fairy. Mother, the child has grown up, you don't have to worry. Tan Yun put his hands on Feng Jingru's shoulders, his eyes twinkling, just think about it, Lu Rulong has been missing for 10 years, and now his strength is unknown. On top of that, once he comes back to take revenge, our Tan family will not be able to fight back at all. And after the child joins the Huangfu sacred sect, he can know himself and the enemy, and find a way to get rid of him. Taking a step back, the child is eager to get more cultivation resources, so the child must worship the Huangfu sacred sect. Tan Yun wanted to take revenge for his early ascension, and he knew that only with the cultivation resources of Huangfu Xingzong could he grow up quickly. Wangyue town is a small place, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is thin, and the cultivation resources are poor. Tan Yun knows that this place is not suitable for his own cultivation. Feng Jingru looked at Tan Yun's eager eyes, and said silently, Mother can't decide this matter, you wait, Mother will call your father and your grandfather. If they agree, Mother will not stop it. After that, Feng Jingru sighed and stepped out of the door. After a while, Tan Changchun and Tan Feng hurried to Yunj. Feng Jingru followed behind the two. Grandson, your mother told your grandfather what you think. Tan Changchun stared at Tan Yun with a dignified expression, and said worriedly, Huangfu Xingzong is extremely harsh in recruiting disciples. Among the 6,800 cities of our Huangfu holy dynasty, each city only recruits 1 disciple each year. And there are 99 towns in our Meteorite City. After a month, talents from each town will gather in Meteorite City to compete for the only place, and they will definitely fight to the death. Grandson, if you participate in the selection, you will undoubtedly die. You have to think about it clearly. After Tan Changchun finished speaking, Tan Feng agreed, Yun'er, a good man is determined to go in all directions. If you insist on going, Dad will not stop him, but you have to think about it. Grandpa, Dad, I've thought about it. Tan Yun said decisively, in order not to miss the selection time, I want to leave immediately. Seeing that Tan Yun had made up his mind, Feng Jingru forced a smile and nodded in agreement. Feng Jingru looked back at Tan Feng, husband, bring the blood-winged spirit lion and use it as a mount for Yun'er. In addition, prepare some more spirit stones for Yun'er. After sending Yun'er away, we will go to entertain the other owners. Okay. After Tan Feng stepped out of the room quickly, Feng Jingru and Tan Changchun told Tan Yun about his future necessities. After a while, Tan Feng turned back and handed a Qianquan ring containing 300,000 medium-grade spirit stones to Tan Yun. He instructed Tan Yun not to treat himself badly after entering the sect. Spirit stones are the currency of Heaven Punishment Continent. 1 top-grade spirit stone equals 100 high-grade spirit stones equals 10,000 middle-grade spirit stones equals 1 million low-grade spirit stones. After Tan Yun took the Qianquan ring, Tan Changchun's fingers flashed the Qianquan ring's blue light, and a blue-colored long sword emerged out of thin air from his right hand. Grandson, this is Grandpa's top-grade spirit soldier saber, you can take it with you. Well. After Tan Yun put the long sword into the Qiankun ring, accompanied by his parents and grandfather, he came to the hospital. Thump. Tan Yun knelt on the ground and kowtowed, "Grandpa, father, mother, you have a lot of business, so don't accompany me to the meteorite city. When I win the selection, I will send someone back to announce the good news." "Good boy, let's go, don't delay the selection time." Feng Jingru's eyes were a little sour, and she helped Tan Yun up. "Mother, the baby is gone," Tan Yun said, walking towards the blood-winged gray lion crawling in the courtyard. This is a spirit beast in the first-order growth period, with wings on its back, huge like a hill, covered in blood-red long hair, and looks very mighty. Beasts are divided into two categories, monsters and spirit beasts. Spirit beasts are the names of monsters after they have been domesticated. The level of beasts is divided into the initial stage, the growth stage, the adult stage, and the tribulation stage. The first-order nascent monster is comparable in strength to the third-level cultivator of the spirit embryo realm. The first-order growth stage monster is comparable in strength to the sixth-level cultivator of the spirit embryo realm. The first-order adult monsters are comparable in strength to the ninth-level cultivators of the spirit embryo realm. This first-order growth stage blood-winged gray lion may not be as powerful as Tan Yun, but its flying speed has reached thousands of miles a day, far beyond Tan Yun's speed. Tan Yun tapped his feet on the ground, jumped on the back of the blood-winged gray lion, and said softly, "Big man, go." Roar. The blood-winged gray lion roared deeply all his life, and the wings that were 10 feet long stretched out, bringing a gust of wind into the sky, like a blood-colored lightning that shuttled through the vast sea of clouds, and disappeared in the sky of Wangyue town in a blink of an eye. Tears of reluctance welled up in Feng Jingru's eyes when she saw her beloved son leave. Hongmeng Qi Condensation Art. Tan Yun crossed his knees on the lion's back as if walking on the ground, and as his hands formed a seal on his chest, a vortex of spiritual energy suddenly condensed above his head and drilled into his eyebrows continuously. After the spiritual energy entered his spiritual pool, it turned into a faint golden spiritual energy. In the next 25 days, while guiding the direction, Tan Yun practiced intermittently, and finally touched the barrier of the seventh layer of the spirit embryo realm. With hope in his eyes, he began to sprint to the realm. Immediately, the full silk spiritual energy in his spiritual pool began to gather and intertwined, slowly condensing the seventh spiritual embryo. 3 days later, in his spiritual pool, the seventh withered well-like spiritual embryo had already condensed, which meant that he had entered the seventh level of the spiritual embryo realm. Tan Yun suppressed the excitement in his heart, entered into meditation, and came to the heart of Hongmeng in Lingqi. He is like the master of this Hongmeng world, standing in the air, overlooking the ocean like Hongmeng divine liquid below. In a single thought, a stream of Hongmeng divine liquid rushed out of the liquid like a dragon, drilled into his eyebrows, and began to spread all over the body, temper the flesh. The quenching process, like countless steel needles, shuttled through the body, the pain caused Tan Yun to grin and sweat profusely. 2 days later, Tan Yun refined the Hongmeng divine liquid in his body. He clenched his fists tightly and looked excited. He felt that his body was full of explosive power. He suddenly got up from the lion's back, his hair fluttered, his spiritual consciousness spread to the surroundings at the speed of light, and his breath was shrouded in a 9-mile radius. It means that his soul is powerful, which is comparable to the 9th-level monk in the spiritual embryo realm. Tan Yun retracted his spiritual sense with satisfaction, cast his eyes over the clouds, overlooking a majestic city below, and said with a smile, "The meteorite city is here, go big." Roar. The blood-winged gray lion swooped down, and flew out of the city in the dust. Tan Yun put it in the spirit beast bag hanging on his waist, followed the endless crowd, walked into the city, and went straight to the good fortune platform. It is the end of the hour, and noon is approaching. Meteorite City is a small city in the Huangfu Holy Dynasty, covering an area of 100 miles. Today is the day when Huangfu Xingzong selects disciples, therefore, the whole city is sensational. In the center of the city, an open space with a radius of 8 miles was already crowded with people, at least 3 million people. In front of the open space, 1,000 zhang square high platform stands majestically. The fortune-telling platform is not a stone platform, but a low-grade spiritual tool. It is rumored that 30,000 years ago, Huangfu Xingzong set up to recruit disciples and named it, Fortune Terrace. Artifact grades, spirit weapons, treasures. Each grade is divided into low grade, medium grade, high grade, and top grade. Over the past 30,000 years, countless family members have been killed or injured in the competition. Under the constant erosion of blood, the fortune-telling platform has lost its original color, like a beast crawling on the ground. It's horrifying to watch. Everyone knows that Huangfu Xingzong has two prerequisites for selecting disciples. First, the age should not exceed 16 years, second, the realm should not be lower than the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. At this moment, there is an empty seat on the good fortune stage, and there is a dazzling array of delicious food and spirit wine. Old City Lord of Meteorite City, Wang Tianyu, hunched over the seat, as if waiting for something. Below the fortune-telling platform, 868 boys and girls from various towns in the Meteor Star City, including Tanyun, stood in anticipation. The children of all the clans fought hard for the only place. The messenger should be coming soon, everyone, be quiet. Wang Tianyu glanced at the 3 million city residents under the stage, and before he finished speaking, a high-pitched crane roared across the sky. Everyone looked at the sound, only to see the western sky, a spirit crane with a gust of wind, flying towards the fortune platform. On the back of the crane stood a girl in the age of cardamom. The girl's brows are like green feathers, her muscles are as white as snow, and 3,000 blue silks hang down on her fragrant shoulders. She wears a red dress that dances in the wind, which outlines her figure exquisitely. Broken in the middle. The girl in the red dress is like a beauty who came out of the painting, and she is like a fairy who doesn't eat the fireworks of the world. It makes people feel ashamed and shameless. Too beautiful. It's as beautiful as a fairy. How can there be such a beautiful woman in the world? Millions of people in the venue stared up at the girl in the red dress who came from stepping on the crane, and couldn't help but praise. Because the girl in the red dress is so beautiful. It is so breathtakingly beautiful that one can only admire the magic of the Creator. Heaven Defying Supreme Chapter 10, Tragic Selection. Chapter 10 Fierce Selection. It seems that she is the messenger of Huangfu Xingzong, this girl looks really good. Tanyun couldn't help but glance at the girl in red. In his memory, the girl in the red dress was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen so far. When everyone lost their praises, Lingyi was already carrying the girl in the red dress and suspended above the fortune-telling platform. Quiet. Wang Tianyu shouted loudly as he stepped on the stage. Everyone immediately shut their mouths, and the sound of the needle falling in the scene could be heard. Facing the girl in the red dress, Wang Tianyu clasped his fists respectfully and said, "The Junior Meteorite City Lord Wang Tianyu welcomes the messenger on behalf of all the citizens of the city." The red-dressed girl's red lips lightly opened, and the sound of heaven's voice lingered in the void. The city lord does not need to be too polite. As he said that, the Lingyi flew down on the fortune platform, and the girl in the red dress fell from the crane's back and fell into the seat like a breeze. She looked down at the city people under the fortune stage, and said coldly, "I am Mu Mengji, a disciple of Huangfu Xingzong's outer sect, and I am in charge of the selection of disciples in the Falling Star City. It's noon, and the family members participating in the selection, please go to the fortune stage." Junior obeys. Tanyun and other 868 cultivators in the spirit embryo realm jumped onto the fortune platform as light as a swallow and quickly formed a formation. Mu Mengji glanced at everyone and said indifferently, "The selection rules, there is only one round, is a comprehensive assessment of will, belief, and strength. Who can persist to the end under the pressure of an hour, that is my Huangfu Xingzong disciple." Hearing this, the 868 disciples said in unison, "Junior understands." "Yeah." Mu Meng nodded slightly, then, looking up at the sky, a long voice was clearly heard in everyone's ears. "A cultivator, capturing the essence of heaven and earth in one, changed his life against the sky, longing for immortality with the sun and the moon, the coexistence of heaven and earth. But this messenger warns you that there are countless casualties in my Huangfu Xingzong selection. If you are timid and your belief in the journey of immortality is not firm enough, you can withdraw now. Otherwise, once the assessment begins, it may be too late to regret it." Everyone looked at Mu Mengji with admiration, and shouted in unison, "Report to the messenger, the juniors will participate." Mu Mengji's beautiful eyes showed a hint of approval, and then, with her slender fingers, she took the spirit beast bag from her waist and whispered to herself. With a flick of her right arm, the spirit beast bag rose into the sky and was suspended high in the air. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening tiger roar came from the spirit beast bag, and then, a purple on swept out of the spirit beast bag and turned into a behemoth as high as 100 jang, which appeared on the fortune platform. This is a spirit beast in the shape of a tiger. Its long, fluffy purple hair is like a burning flame. Its sturdy limbs seem to contain unparalleled power. Two giant tails, one white and one red, dance frequently, making the slight ripples seem to crack the void at any time. Its huge pupils look down at the 868 disciples on the stage, like the gaze of death, making the hair stand on end. It's terrifying. It's too scary, this beast. Millions of people in the audience screamed, even Wang Tianyu, the city lord on the stage, didn't know this beast. Roar! Boom! After the giant beast raised its front hooves, it stomped down violently. Immediately, the fortune-telling platform trembled violently. Most of the 868 disciples were unsteady and their eyes were terrified. Tan Yin looked up at the giant beast, his pupils shrank slightly, and his heart sank. This is the second-order growth stage ice-flaming spirit tiger, the intelligence has already been opened, and the strength is comparable to the fifth-layer cultivator of the fetal soul. It seems that the messenger wants it to assess the belief, will, and strength of the participating children. When Tan Yin thought to himself, Mu Mengji glanced at the terrified contestants and said solemnly, "In the assessment, in addition to resisting coercion with spiritual power, you are not allowed to pass the body protection magic weapon, take medicine pills, etc., and any external force to help yourself in the assessment. Commander, kill without mercy. The younger generation understands." The 868 family members were in awe. Assessment officially begins. Mu Meng babbled, followed by a loud roar from the Bingyan Linghu. Suddenly, the air exploded, and an invisible coercion poured down, covering the huge fortune platform. Under the strong coercion, the participating students were isolated and helpless, like a lonely boat in the stormy sea, feeling that an unattainable force bound them, as if they were shouldering a mountain that could crush them to death at any time. During his breath, Tan Yun's forehead was covered with beads of sweat, and the sweat dripped down his handsome cheeks and kept dripping on the table. Under such coercion, even a 9th-level cultivator in the spirit embryo realm can hardly hold on for an hour. Tan Yun froze in his heart. Oh no! Crack Kacha! Suddenly, the scream sounded like thunder, and Tan Yun discovered that a monk at the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm had not had time to use his spiritual power to resist the coercion. His 2 legs could not be supported, and his bones were all broken. Master Messenger, the junior quit, the junior quit. The young man's facial features were twisted and he begged in pain. It's okay to quit halfway, then escape to the fortune platform by yourself. Mu Mengai glanced at the young man coldly, and said no more. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. The boy who lost his legs crawled frantically to the bottom of the fortune stage, 100 meters away. It is a pity that under the powerful pressure, the short distance of 100 meters is undoubtedly an insurmountable mountain. Before the young man climbed out of Zhang Shuyuan, his whole body was torn apart. The table with broken bones and blood scattered on the table looks particularly terrifying. My son. A middle-aged woman in the crowd, watching the scene of her beloved son's death, unable to collect the body, she burst into tears and collapsed to the ground. Hoochie hoochie. Millions of people in the audience were staring at the scene on the stage with pale faces. There were only rapid and heavy breathing in the venue. Drink. Drink. There were loud shouts on the fortune stage, and the cultivators who participated in the competition, their faces flushed, and when the space around their bodies vibrated, some dazzling spiritual powers slowly revolved around their bodies, layers of spiritual power shield. Even at the beginning of the assessment, it will consume spiritual power to resist coercion. At this moment, in addition to Tan Yun, there are 2 other teenagers who do not have spiritual energy. Tan Yun frowned and looked sideways. One of them, a young man in a white robe, who was at the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm and had an extraordinary bearing, looked calm in the face of coercion, and he always had a faint smile on his face. Another brocade-robed youth at the 9th level of the spiritual embryo realm also looked fearless, with a pleasant look on his face from beginning to end. Everyone, look at it, Young Master and Liang Young Master are indeed the two geniuses of our meteorite city. They don't need spiritual power to fight against coercion at all. Yeah. Huh. Look, there's another kid at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm who doesn't use spiritual power. It seems that this person is not simple. How can he be compared with the young city master and Liang Young Master? You don't have to look at it, the young city master and Liang Young Master are calm now, and he is already sweating profusely, he can't last long. Tanyan learned that the boy in white robe was the young city owner of Meteor City, Wang Fuchen. That brocade-robed boy is the largest family in Meteorite City, the young master of the Liang family, Liang Chidi. It is not difficult to see that everyone thinks that the person who can persevere to the end is either Wang Fuchen or Liang Chidi. At the same time, Tanyan knew that these two people would be his rivals. After half an hour. Help. Help. Do not. Suddenly, the screams sounded one after another, and then, there were bursts of dull explosions on the fortune platform. But seeing more than 300 monks at the 6th level of the spiritual embryo realm, after the spiritual shield suddenly disintegrated under the pressure, the body exploded, a vortex, like a poignant flower of death, in the crowd. Bloom in the eyes. Crash. The blood rain was mixed with pieces of broken bones, sprinkled on the fortune-telling platform, and pools of blood gathered together and gurgled down the platform. It made the dark red fortune-telling platform more and more hideous.